Once upon a time, say around 2500 years ago, the Buddha was hanging around with the fam. He was chilling with his crew. No blunts or joints or any illegal drugs were consumed because, Buddha and his crew, his gang, were already pretty high up there. Okay? So they were hanging around, chilling, they decided they want to go for a little hike in nature. And so they were hiking, and Buddha was sort of, walking, and, he's sort of the leader, right? He's the enlightened one. So he picks up a flower, right? And he, goes around, and one by one he starts to give it to his gang, right? So he goes to the first guy and gives him the flower, and then he starts to explain to him about the flower, about the color of the flower, or the aroma of it, the scent, the texture, the geometrical arrangement. Buddha shakes his head, says, "All right, fam, cool." And he goes on to the next disciple, right? The next student in training for nirvana, and gives it to him. And same thing, the student gives him a certain description of the flower, the geometrical arrangement of it, the aroma of it, etc., etc., etc. Of course, each one of the disciples is sort of giving his own insight, his own deconstruction of the flower. And, Buddha shakes his head, says, "Okay, cool, fam, cool." And he keeps passing on the flower, and each disciple gives him his input, his deconstruction, his description of the flower. Then, Buddha gives it to one of his disciples, and he looks at it, he looks at the flower the Buddha just gave him, and he starts laughing. He starts laughing. And Buddha, finally, with a smile, with a sense of relief, looks at him and says, "You get it, fam. You get it. And the moral of this simple story is that we try too hard to deconstruct reality and describe reality using concepts, using thoughts, using ideas, to make ourselves look smarter. I mean, let's face it here. All of these disciples were trying to make themselves look smarter in front of Buddha, right? Let's be honest here. They were all on an ego trip there. They were just trying to make themselves look smarter. They're trying to show Buddha how much they know, right? Except for that one disciple who was probably on the verge of total enlightenment. He looks at the flower and he loses his shit. He starts laughing because it's just so beautiful. And then Buddha says, "You get it." He looks at his disciples and says, "Look, this guy, he gets it. He knows what's up. He knows what this whole thing is all about." And, I really think that reality is much more intended for us to contemplate its beauty. Really, it's beautiful. Reality is a beautiful thing. Nature is a beautiful thing. We're perhaps too busy deconstructing nature and describing nature. It's exactly like using the word orgasm. Say, I had an orgasm last night. That's not an orgasm. That's just you describing that you had an orgasm. Clearly, you're using concepts here. You're using thoughts. There's no emotions in there. There's no feeling to it. "Oh, I had an orgasm last night." Oh, yeah. You say it so casually. But if you really wanted to demonstrate to somebody that you had an orgasm last night, you would have an orgasm right in front of them. A full out blown orgasm. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same thing, like, why describe a flower? What the hell is there to describe? We're so obsessed with describing and categorizing. We want everything to be in a category. Well, this flower is it's called, blah, 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 blah. This flower is called, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, God, so many boxes, so many categories. Can't you just walk around and be in bliss and be in ecstasy and be in love and be in beauty and laugh and enjoy? Can't you look at a flower and enjoy the flower without having to describe it and dissect it and separate its parts? This is the root. This is the root. And this is the head of the flower. You know, like, and this flower is purple and this flower is red. God damn it. We're so obsessed with our mind. We're so obsessed with the mind. We think that the mind is the supreme ruler of all. The mind is a good servant, but a lousy master. Okay? But in truth, the mind at the current stage of human evolution is the master of humanity. And it's really taking us into some pretty terrifying places, isn't it? If you look at depression and anxiety, which are all modern epidemics, they sort of keep going up and up and up. And that has to do with the mind going insane, going nuts, becoming the supreme ruler of the human being. The mind is exactly like your ears and your eyes and your nose and your taste. It's just another sensory apparatus to experience reality. That's all it is. And if you start to think of your mind, it's just another sense that I have. I don't have to identify with it. You know, you're not identified with your hearing. You're not what you hear. You can hear something and go on, move on, right? You might hear like a loud noise in the street and you know, look out of the window, oh, what's going on? And then go back to writing your book or go back to whatever, cooking your meal. In the same way, like if you start to see the mind, it's just another sensory apparatus. Oh, there's a thought. Oh, let me examine that. Okay, all right, you just move on then. As opposed to being so identified with the mind. It's scary. It really is. So this total identification with the mind, with thoughts and concepts, leads one to look at the flower and deconstruct the flower as opposed to experience the flower. Because believe me, if you're going to experience a beautiful flower, probably there are two appropriate responses to truly experiencing a beautiful flower. The first one is laughter, and the second one is tears, probably because of beauty. You know, if you've ever beheld something that is so beautiful, you cry because it's so beautiful. And those are probably the two appropriate responses if you're actually experiencing the flower. If you aren't conceptualizing the flower, because the mind is an instrument of separation. Not that it's bad. I don't want to make it sound like it's bad. There isn't anything good and bad in creation. Period. From creator's point of view, there isn't anything that is good. There isn't anything that is evil. There is different forces, different sides of the duality, but it's just a duality, and the creator is sort of outside of the duality. And so the mind, this is basically when we ate the apple, when Adam and Eve ate the apple from the tree of knowledge, that was basically the birth of the mind. The mind is an instrument of separation. I mean, Adam and Eve were hanging around, they were naked, and as soon as they ate the apple, suddenly it's like, holy shit, you've got a vagina, I've got a penis, let's cover it up. It's like the morality was born, the duality was born, and yeah, the mind likes to separate things and dissect them and break things down and analyze things down. And it digs itself into a deeper hole, because I gave this example before, but I'll give it again. if let's say I was born in this house that I'm in right now and there are no windows and there is nothing that tells me there's an external reality, okay? So one day I hear some noises in the house and I'm freaking out because I think there's something wrong with the house. And for the next 6 hours, I'm like completely losing my shit here, deconstructing and analyzing everything in the house. Where is this coming from? Is this coming from that room? Is it coming from this room? Is it coming from the basement? Is it coming from upstairs? What's happening with the house? Let me analyze this. Let me analyze the house. Which room is making this noise? Which room is crumbling? What could possibly be going on in the house? But of course, I'm blind to the fact that this house is part of a greater, of an organism, of nature, and there's external forces acting upon it. One day, somebody comes in and takes me out of the house and I'm like, holy shit, there are trees and sun and this and that. And then I hear some noises in the house. It turns out it's raining. And it turns out those noises were rain. But I didn't even know there was rain because I didn't even know there's an external reality. And that's the same thing with the mind, right? The mind starts to dig itself deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. Like we dissect nutrition, for example. We dig ourselves deeper into a hole. We dissect it, we break it down into minerals, vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and then we're like, okay, you need this amount of fats, you need this amount of carbs, you need this amount of proteins, you need this and that, and this and that. So you're digging yourself into a deeper hole here. Food is just a small part of sustenance for a human being. You're digging yourself into a deeper hole through your mind, through dissecting and describing everything. But you're a part of an organism. You're a part of the whole. And the same thing with, with like that. That's the whole point of the story with the flower. Okay? And stop describing the goddamn flower and experience it. Stop describing how it feels like to eat this and that and experience it. Like you hear people all the time, oh my god, that sandwich is so good. It's like just go eat it. Experience it. Why are you so hung up on describing things? Of course, I'm speaking to myself here, right? I'm part of the society that is obsessed with the mind. Why are we so obsessed with describing things? Why are we so obsessed with words and concepts? I'm obsessed with words and concepts. Look how many videos I make. I pump videos every single day. Okay, that's right there. Proof is in the pudding. I pump videos every day, talking and talking and talking. But I also recognize that it's kind of important to do that because since we're also obsessed with words, we almost need words to comfort us. We need, because we're so obsessed with words, we need somebody to speak things to us, to comfort our minds, to tell our minds, hey, look, it's okay, you can relax. And in that state of relaxation, you can begin to experience reality for yourself without concepts, without categorizations, without judgments. Be aware of that. That's a trap. And whenever you hear somebody, watch a video of mine and anybody else, try to take the concepts and apply them. So, that's why words can be comforting, especially in a day and age where we are obsessed with words. So now that you heard this video, next time you're in nature, don't try to describe the flower, just experience the flower. Experience it. Look at it and experience it. However, just experience nature for yourself. There's no need to describe nature, to dissect nature. I don't think God consciousness is all too impressed with dissecting its own creation. I think it just wants to enjoy its own creation. That's why it created it in the first place. All right, rant over. I want to thank all our beautiful Patreons. Mwah. Not much to say really here for you guys. I'll send you my experiential love. And if you would like to sponsor, this is sponsored by our lovely patrons. If you'd like to sponsor this cup of green tea, contribute to this channel, any type, $2 a month. If everybody was to pitch in $2 a month right now, I'd be doing this full time and we'd be hosting retreats like everywhere. Like I'll be traveling around hosting retreats. So if you guys want to do that, if you guys want to help this channel grow and this community grow, then you could do so on Patreon. You could become part of the family on Patreon. God bless you all, guys. I appreciate all the support, all the love. And until next time, may the force be with you.